which country has the best healthcare in the world? When I grew up in India, healthcare was extremely uncomplicated. I had never heard of health insurance and never considered getting one. I had never, and to this day, have never been to a government hospital in India. Whenever someone in the family felt sick, we would call our usual doctor, who my uncle had known for years. He would tell us when he was expecting less crowd, so we would go exactly at that time and we wouldn't have to wait much. The appointment could be gotten on the same evening or the next day. And honestly, at that time, the next day felt like too much of a wait. My introduction to the concept of health insurance actually happened when I went to the US. It wasn't until I moved a couple of times actually that I started questioning what actually goes into a country providing healthcare for its citizens. So, how do countries manage and fund their healthcare, and which one of them is the best? Let's start with the country which famously has universal healthcare, Canada. Universal healthcare means that no legal resident is denied basic medical treatment regardless of their job or their ability to pay. It is also a single payer system where basic healthcare services are funded by the government for all legal residents. However, this is only restricted to basic healthcare and it does not include prescription drugs, dental services, barring a few, obviously, specialized care, and for example, cosmetic care. The funding of these services also means higher tax rates used to fund them. So, for a basic medical service, as a legal resident, you do not have to pay anything at the hospital, but you may have to pay for prescription or other specialized care. Private insurance does exist, but it is largely restricted for basic healthcare. It is very regulated. Some states even prohibit private clinics from offering certain services outside of the public healthcare system. The reason why private insurance in Canada is largely restricted and regulated, for basic healthcare at least, is basically a result of the philosophy that a person's access to basic healthcare should be rooted in their need for the healthcare and not in their ability to pay. The idea is that with the option of a private insurance being available for basic healthcare, the wealthier patients would be able to access the healthcare faster, and there would be more incentive for doctors to prioritize people with private care, thus making the access unfair. To be fair, Canada does spend less than the United States on health per capita. However, there is a trade off, which is the significant waiting times for healthcare services, especially for specialized care in Canada, such as dermatology, elective surgeries like the knee replacement, hip replacement, MRIs, etc. Countries like Australia, Germany, and Austria also have universal healthcare. However, their system is different from Canada's system. The one major difference is that both public and private health insurances are available as a choice, even for basic healthcare in these countries. While it does mean that the wealthier people do have more access to basic care with reduced waiting times, thus creating to some unfairness, it also frees up space for people who cannot afford private insurance and thus helps them avail care with reduced waiting times faster. This is a multi-payer system where multiple entities pay for healthcare and are available as options for residents, as opposed to the Canadian system where public insurance for basic healthcare is mostly regulated. For example, in Austria and Germany, the statutory health insurance, which can be comparable to the public health insurance, is funded by the employer and the employee contributions. People with higher incomes can opt out and choose private insurance providers even for basic healthcare. Unemployed people are also covered by the same health insurance, either through the unemployment services or through welfare programs, or they are put under another family member's policy. Among these three countries that I have just mentioned, Germany, Austria, and Australia and Canada, the four ones, Canada has the lowest expenditure on healthcare per capita. So it is doing something right. While the introduction of private insurance is supposed to reduce waiting times, I can tell you from experience it is the norm to have a waiting time of 6 to 8 months for any form of specialized care here in Austria, unless you want to go to private providers. However, particularly in case of Austria, the longer waiting times can also be relegated to the actual lack of workforce and the administrative burden on the doctors already working here. Now, we get to the raunchy part. The United States of America, famously, unlike its cousin Canada, does not have universal health care. All non emergency care can be and is refused based on the person's inability to pay. Under the federal law, however, doctors and hospitals cannot refuse emergency care even if the patient cannot pay, but this care is limited to only until the patient stabilizes, and it is also billed later, so it isn't free either. Most health insurance in the United States is run by private companies, and it is either purchased privately or it is provided by the employer. There are also some government schemes in the US to help people, of course, access healthcare, but they cater to specific groups. For example, Medicare is for people aged above 65 years or with certain disabilities. Medicaid is for low income families or individuals. And there's another one called the Children's Health Insurance Program, and it's for children who do not qualify for Medicaid. However, there is still a significant portion of people, 8 to 9% probably, who do not have any insurance and do not qualify for any of these government schemes. Even for the people who are employed with a health insurance, their insurance is tied to their jobs and they can lose it if they lose their job. Such people have to pay then for all their care out of pocket, and in the US, out of pocket anything is not cheap. The US actually has the highest cost of healthcare per capita in the world. The dominance of private for profit insurance companies is the primary reason, which is what Canada kind of is trying to avoid by restricting private insurance influx for basic care. Prescription drugs are often very expensive in the US. Medical education often puts doctors under immense student debt, which makes them raise the cost of their services more to be able to pay the debt. Another important factor is that lawsuits against doctors are very common, and thus doctors very often order extra tests or procedures as precautionary measures against these lawsuits. Does this mean everything is going wrong with the healthcare system in the US? No, not really. Healthcare in the US, especially the specialized care, has much shorter waiting times. My last experience of booking an appointment with a gynecologist or a dermatologist and not having to wait for 6 months to get it was actually in the US. With all the capital being pumped in, US also has been a pioneer in medical innovation, whether it's the development of the mRNA vaccine during COVID or the development of cancer treatments like CAR-T. Another important thing is that the US has been a lucrative employer for the last several decades, and therefore it routinely attracts the best doctors and surgeons from all over the world. So, if one has the money and the resources, world class treatment can be availed from the best of the best. One more thing. Remember when I started talking about the US and I said that emergency care cannot be denied in the moment, even though one must pay for it later, leading to cases of significant medical debt for people? What happens when someone has a life threatening condition or a terminal illness which requires an ongoing treatment? For example, cancer, heart failure, end stage kidney diseases, etc. Must the treatment for these diseases be provided or can it be denied? It's a bit complicated for these cases. For example, treatments such as dialysis are covered by Medicare for all ages for most states, but for the undocumented immigrants or for people residing in certain states where that's not the case, the payments have to be made out of pocket. For conditions like type 1 diabetes, uninsured individuals have to find a way to privately pay for the insulin most of the times, as insulin isn't covered by the government. For illnesses like cancer, ongoing treatments are very often denied because of the lack of capacity to pay. Under emergency situations, some form of treatment is provided until the patients stabilize, but then they are discharged. For people over 65 years of age, Medicare does cover significant costs associated with cancer treatments, but conditions like cancer can still drive even insured people to bankruptcy, so the uninsured don't really stand much of a chance unless they plan to go to another country like Mexico or Turkey for cheaper medical treatments. This is starkly different from countries like Canada, Australia, Germany, or places with universal healthcare. In these places, for life threatening treatments or terminal illnesses, all treatment is covered by the state, and a patient cannot be denied treatment for their inability to pay. Well, that brings us to India, where I began this discussion from. Does India have universal healthcare? Is healthcare relatively cheap, since India is also a hotspot for significant medical tourism? The answer to the first question is no. India does not have universal healthcare. Well, not in the traditional sense like Canada or the UK at least. Yes, the government does provide free or heavily subsidized basic healthcare through government hospitals. But I told you I had never been to a government hospital in India. Public hospitals, unfortunately, are very overcrowded and underfunded in India. You will almost never find a person from middle class upwards in a government hospital unless it's an elite government institution like the AIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. The general trust of the population in most public hospitals is very low. Other than public healthcare, there are also different schemes run by the government to provide healthcare for low income households. Employees working in the organized sectors are mostly covered by the Employee State Insurance Scheme. Ayushman Bharat, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, is actually the largest public insurance scheme in the world, covering healthcare costs until certain amounts for low income households. However, there is still a vast amount of population of the country that relies on private healthcare. India's healthcare system is also unique in a way because, like all other labor, basic healthcare is relatively affordable in India. A lot of people have family doctors or doctors that they have known for years, so it's not very difficult to arrange appointments generally, and the waiting times for both basic and specialized care are relatively short. On most days, you can walk in a private clinic and avail services after a short wait, even without requiring extensive insurance paperwork on the part of the patient and on the part of the doctor. So then where's the problem? Well, if you're a regular middle income household without any major requirement for highly specialized care, you will mostly not feel the need for medical insurance in your life, which is why mostly people are uninsured still. What happens when you need specialized care? Let's say psychological treatment or therapy. These treatments are very expensive in India, and like most other countries, they aren't significantly covered by insurance. Only individuals above a certain level of income can get these specialized services. Treatments for diseases like cancer can be as bank breaking for an Indian living in India as they can be for an American living in America. A lot of medical tourism in India depends on the difference of currency values in some Western countries over India. So basically, any serious or life threatening condition for a family member can be catastrophic for a family's economic condition. And even though a large number of Indian students choose to study medicine, there is still a dearth of doctors and hospitals in rural areas because a lot of people do not want to work or live in rural areas. But if you do have the money in India, you can avail world class healthcare at a fraction of the cost you would pay in the United States with virtually no waiting times. I often talk to my family back in India, and they find the waiting times in Austria bizarre, almost unbelievable. But I have realized that every system has its own structure, which is strong in certain ways and not so strong in some other ways. But here's what I believe: it pays to have money in every system, no matter how egalitarian it is. Thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.